Thank you for joining us again and welcome back to our channel. If you are joining for the first time, I appreciate your time as always. It is important to understand that the continent of Africa have been accused in the past of not taking responsibility. At the moment, the continent of Africa has realized that no one is coming to save them. That's the reason why they are making strategic moves around their geopolitical environment in regards to the continent of Africa's own perspective, looking at the global community, as the United States of America has taken a combative stand and more nationalistic approach. That's the reason why we see countries across the region are pushing to make sure that their voices are heard. South Africa has led delegation in Russia and Ukraine. No one credits them for that. Looking at the African countries questioning their particular position at the United Nations Security Council, why Africa has asked for a voting power at the UN Security Council. However, with regards to that particular perspective, the continent of Africa has decided that now is the time to take its own responsibility. That's the reason why countries in West Africa have severed ties with their former colonial master, France, that has subjugated them for centuries regarding their strategic relationship that was not on a win-win perspective. We saw countries like Senegal, Burkina Faso, Mali, including the country of Niger, and more importantly, the darling of all Ivory Coast, and to an extent the country of Chad, that are severed ties militarily with the country of France. And these countries have decided to take full responsibility and to show that the challenges that the continent of Africa face. Make no mistake, these are critical times in Africa's history, and the continent has come to realize that no one is coming to save them. Not the Europeans, not the Russians, not the Chinese, not the Americans, not even the Indians. However, Africa is open for strategic relationship. That's the reason why the continent is going it alone. For that particular reason, countries like Burkina Faso have come under tremendous scrutiny with regards to their own perspective. According to the United Nations, based on their data, Burkina Faso has seen some tremendous increase and performance in terms of its economy and growth in terms of GDP. We will come to that in a moment. However, what does Burkina Faso get? Because they want to decide to take it alone and go it alone and charter a part in their own history and show the responsibility of their own people. They are called names. Despite the criticism in regards to the country of Burkina Faso, according to the news channel we on, Burkina Faso has made some progress with regards to its own strategic development. Play this clip.
Under Traore's leadership, the economy has strengthened, with Burkina Faso's GDP rising from $18.8 billion to $22.1 billion, a testament to the country's growing independence. By prioritizing the local processing of resources, including gold and agricultural produce, Traore has ensured that national wealth benefits Burkinabe citizens, rather than being siphoned off by foreign interests. Agriculture, the backbone of Burkina Faso's economy, has seen unprecedented support under Traore's administration. Farmers have been equipped with modern machinery, improved seeds, and necessary farm inputs, leading to increased productivity and greater food security. These efforts signify a leader dedicated to his people's well-being, committed to strengthening internal resilience and reducing reliance on foreign aid.
That's why we saw recently the current United States of America CENTCOM commander came out clear and challenged the country of Burkina Faso.
But on April 3rd this year, while delivering a testimony on the U.S. Africa Command posture, U.S. Marine Corps General Michael Langley had a unique perspective on the leadership in Burkina Faso and Sudan. Listen to this interaction between Langley and Senator Wicker.
The ruling elite of a country is receiving gratuities on the side that inure to the benefit of the strongman leader.
I see this, and I don't mind calling them out, but Captain Traore and Burkina Faso, as they know that both whether it's their gold reserves, that is all those proceeds are just in exchange to protect the junta regime.
Despite this particular move that Burkina Faso is making at the moment, we've seen a number of issues coming from geopolitical circles as the United States of America's General, Mr. Langley, accused unfoundedly the country of Burkina Faso of making use or misusing its own natural resources. I wonder when the United States of America start caring so much about the countries across the Sahel, as the United States was kicked out shamefully from the country of Niger, dismantling the military base, looking at the drone base in the city of Agadez. That was worth about $100 million based on information.
Supporters of Burkina Faso's military leader have called for a mass rally in support of the junta after the government said it had foiled an attempted coup and accused America and France of influencing the country's politics. Since Traore came to power, the military government has cracked down on dissent, kidnappings and arbitrary arrests of both civilian critics and army personnel accused of plotting coups, which have increased. That statement has stoked outrage across the continent.
France and the United States government needs to back off from any attempt to remove Captain Traore from office. Forget about your plan. He's our own. He is doing exactly what the people of Burkina Faso and many other African countries wish their leaders were doing for them.
Burkina Faso alongside Niger, Mali have come together to form the Alliance of the Sahelian state to give them some breathing room with regards to their own future. And it's important to note that this is the reason why the leader of the country of France came out clear and accused the countries across the continent of Africa, based on his own perspective, that these countries across the region are not grateful.
Now, Senegal and Chad have reacted strongly after French President Emmanuel Macron said Sahel countries were ungrateful for the role France played in fighting jihadist insurgencies. Let's listen to what he had to say to ambassadors in Paris.
We had a relationship based on security. On one hand, our commitment to fighting terrorism since 2013. We were right to do so. I think some have forgotten to say thank you, but that's okay. It will come in time. Ungratefulness, I know all too well, is a disease that is not transmitted to humans. But I say this for all the African heads of state who have not had the courage, in the face of public opinion, to hold that view. None of them would be in a sovereign country today if the French army had not been deployed in this region.
Despite that particular comment from the French leader, the president of Burkina Faso saw it differently. With a tone of respect, the president of Burkina Faso responded to Mr. Macron's statement by saying this.
Emmanuel Macron insulted all Africans in his remarks. There was one part that caught my attention, where he spoke of ingratitude, and that ingratitude is a disease that cannot be transmitted to humans. He is a human. Our ingratitude is not transmissible to him. This is how this gentleman sees Africa, sees Africans. We are not human in his eyes.
It is important to understand that the particular aid that the continent of Africa was relying on is not going to be coming anytime soon. And Africa have decided to take its responsibility in its own hands. And this is not sitting well with Africa's geopolitical partners. That is the reason why. Now, taking responsibility has become a problem. African countries across the Sahel and around the region have decided that they want to charter a new part in their history, to look for partners that provide them opportunity, to look for partners that can help them solve their internal challenges. That's why the country of Chad moved really fast to go closer to the country of China to an extent, because Chad understands the difficulties that is going through. That's the reason why the leader of the country of Chad said that the particular relationship that the country of Chad has with the country of France is colonial, because at the moment the challenges that are ahead does not sit well with regards to a particular relationship that the country of Chad need at this time to also discover its full potential. For that reason, the Chadian leader came out clear and did not miss his word and said this.
In his statements, President Mahamat Deby explained that the pact no longer met Chad's current security and geopolitical needs. He noted that the agreement had failed to provide substantial military value to the country amid challenges such as terrorist attacks.
Over time, this agreement has become outdated, completely outdated. It no longer aligns with the current geopolitical realities, the strategies of our era, or our legitimate expectations for the full expression of our sovereignty. The French military presence in Chad is not based on a reciprocal foundation. Chad must no longer accept from others what they don't accept for themselves. This is the sacred principle of reciprocity, the need for correction. It is now crucial for Chad to address the shortcomings in its international relations.
African countries want to take full responsibility and show that that particular accusation that they have been known to say that African countries are shy to take step forward, to engage strategically, to go to the bond market, to look for investors, to look for partners that can deliver. There are challenges in the continent of Africa, no doubt, as we all see the nations across the region, like the president of South Africa once said. Despite the fact that the continent of Africa has challenges, it does not give any room for anyone to feel that the continent of Africa is a begging continent. However, we are seeing African nations making strategic moves at the moment, abandoning those partners that to an extent would not provide them what they are looking for. This is not sitting well, and that is the reason why we saw the leaders across the region are coming together to figure out what's going to happen, because at this time it is important for the continent of Africa to know that Europe is facing its own challenges. The United States of America has grown rogue in terms of its trade policy, and we also saw how China standing up the United States of America. The Russians have recognized South Africa to an extent to be an honest broker with regards to the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. However, we do still see South Africa not having the particular credit that it deserves. We are seeing other countries across the continent of Africa are reviewing their relationship. As a result of the difficulties and challenges, we see the country of Burkina Faso strengthening its relationship with the country of China, and more importantly with Russia. Why? Because Burkina Faso understand the particular environment, the geopolitical environment has changed, and they are dealing with a moment that they need stronger partners that can support them to grow, that can also meet their needs. They need partners that can work with them, that can help them, enable them to achieve their dreams, that can partner with them from a more strategic aspect to enhance their potential and then to grow. That's the reason why the country of Burkina Faso is going forward and making sure that they want to partner with the country of Russia, talking about nuclear energy and a whole full lot of other very important things that would enable them to drive their economy. The president of the country of Burkina Faso, Mr. Ibrahim Traore, have come to the realization that no one is coming to save the country of Burkina Faso and the countries across the Sahel. They have decided that they are going it alone, and this particular move does not sit well with the strategic partners. That's why we see all of these accusations coming from the country of the United States of America. The Sahel region is the most critical region in the continent of Africa at the moment. What happens in the Sahel will shape Africa's future. Why am I saying this? This is important because the continent of Africa has come to a point where it can no longer rely with regards to the colonial chapter that was laid down for them. And these countries have diagnosed that particular problem, and they have realized that they have to break free. That's why their particular objectives and growth and development aspiration will never sit well with their strategic partners that have been with them for centuries. These countries have seen something that other countries across the continent have not seen so far. So for Burkina Faso to constantly come under attack in terms of that particular perspective, it's not anything new. I want to thank you for watching. Let me know in the comment section what you think with regards to the current geostrategic position around the world, and why that particular comment from the French leader did not resonate well in the continent of Africa, and all of this particular perspective that African countries have no particular perception in terms of taking responsibility. Africa have broken the mold and they are making steps that are not popular because they understand at this moment, if you do not make the move, you will have huge strategic impact across your region, your economy, your population will pay the price. That's the reason why Africa is no longer listening to its geopolitical partners, and there will be a price to pay. However, that doesn't matter. At this time, the pressure is from within the African population, and the leaders, to an extent, some of them are listening. Not all leaders at the moment so far. However, most are listening that at this time, it is about time, so to point out, for countries to move swiftly and to make strategic choices at the moment. I'll be looking forward to meeting you soon in our next episode. Have a good day. Bye-bye.